Good evening, friends. The much awaited roundtable begins now. Galaxy of experts and a very enlightened audience. I began my career in metals in 1974, and I've literally seen the evolution of both the steel industry and also the non-ferrous metals industry in this country. Those days, both steel and non-ferrous metals, they were in the PSU, whether it's copper, zinc, or aluminum, except one steel plant, Tata Steel, which is now celebrating 100 years. So largely it was PSU dominated. We had a very severe foreign exchange crunch, foreign exchange limitations, and we had a lot of import restrictions. You couldn't import anything, spare parts, machinery, materials, metals, so much of restrictions. You had to go through a very good old DGTD those days, and you had to do a lot of education, convincing, etc. And those days, I remember many consumers used to go to the MMTC. All the non-ferrous metals went through a process of canalized imports. You have to justify your demand for copper or lead or zinc for the current year based on your last year's production. And that will be approved by somebody, iron and steel controller or DGTD or whoever. And then it will go to MMTC, who will go for bulk purchase of non-ferrous metals globally. And it was literally a rationing system. Come 1991, everything has changed. No restrictions on trade, no restrictions on expansion, licensing, etc. And foreign exchange, you are sitting in a huge reserve of about, I think, $367 billion now. And so we have plenty of foreign exchange. There is no restriction now for import or for travel, for studies, etc. Things have changed a lot. And so is the case in the scenario of non-ferrous metals production and also in steel also. You have many private players in steel, many more private players in non-ferrous metals. And you see the quantum jump in capacities, in scales of production. When it was in PSU, those days I remember, 30,000 tons per year was a big capacity, whether zinc or copper or whatever. But today India talks about million-ton capacity plants. We have come a long way. Million-ton capacity in aluminum, copper, zinc, etc. So today India is in a different wicket. We are a big non-ferrous giant. I don't believe in that per capita consumption basis. You're 1.2 billion population country, and you compare with other countries, lowly populated countries, and that's not a comparison. India has got a great urge for demand for materials and metals. In fact, I should tell you, I think I was telling Sunil, the Department of Science and Technology formed a committee for drafting a document, Technology Vision 2035, following the earlier model, Vision 2020 by late President Abdul Kalam. I was chairing that committee as the advisory committee materials. We have made many wonderful projections for all materials, not only metallic materials. It includes polymers and composites, glass and ceramics, plastics, electronic and energy materials. We have made many sort of roadmaps for non-ferrous metals. And I wanted to share this earlier, probably when Secretary is here, I may be sharing that. So today we have got so much of scenario change. Private players, public sector players, trade being open, and still we are bogged with many issues. FTA, inverted duty structure, about which Mr. Ramnath mentioned earlier this afternoon. And India wants to maybe self-reliant, as we were earlier, but the world wants to come to this country because this is the country where consumption is growing, the domestic market is growing. 2008, there was a global meltdown, but India was not affected. Even now, Europe, Greece, many places, very marginal GDP growth, but India is still going strong because that is because of domestic demand. The buying power is here, purchase power is here. And I was very happy to hear from Justin today such a motivating lecture to the Indians by Justin. I thought the best movie on Mahatma Gandhi was made by Justin, Richard Attenborough, but the best motivating lectures have been made by Justin. Thank you very much, Justin. Now I'm going to throw this floor open by one, and Mr. Ramnath, you already articulated this afternoon. Apart from the duty structure and FTA, if you have anything to say on how to boost the demand for non-ferrous metals, I can talk more on market development, but I would like the panel members to do more. How to boost the demand for non-ferrous metals apart from copper. And another issue that we have been plagued with ever since my student days is the lack of industry-academia interaction. It's still continuing. Academy does not, scientists and teachers don't want to look at the industry. Industry does not want to go to them, but we want to work together. So how do we bring about this synergy between industry and academia? So on these issues, Mr. Ramnath, if you can enlighten us, I'll appreciate. And later on, one by one, members will be requested to come and articulate their views. Mr. Ramnath.